Peter!
Young Jackson.
Peter!
Young Jackson.
How you doing?
Great.
Good.
How are you?
Good. I like your scarf with your peacock feather in it.
Yeah, I wore that scarf for you today.
Really? Tell me a
Uh,
little bit about the scarf.
well, as I was saying last time, a special rug or carpet is
Ah.
a magic carpet because it is used to travel into a higher plane through activities like praying or breathing on the carpet. Now, you asked me about a scarf. Why am I talking about a carpet? Well, just so happens that right behind me, I've got a beautiful indigo blue wool Moroccan rug that I ordered off Etsy around Christmas time. And I do all my stuff on there. And they were so nice. They sent me an extra little gift in the bag with the carpet, this scarf.
Oh.
Yes, yes. So we use it as a tablecloth um, because my partner she doesn't seem to appreciate paint stains on the table.
Oh.
And I said, Hang on a minute, this is my table, and it's a piece of shit. I bought it on Marketplace for $20. I spent $20 gas going in to get the damn thing, and the chairs were a little bit moldy because the lady left it on the patio because she was selling all her parents' dead stuff, her dead parents' stuff.
Hmm.
Right? So if you ask me, young Jackson, I should darn well be able to get paint on this table. Anyhow, if you've ever lived with a female, it's best to just the little things, just sweep them under the rug, young
Whoosh.
Jackson. I know that wasn't a this, that was a this. So, so you sweep it's fine. We'll just cover up the paint with this nice Moroccan scarf,
Oh,
and then we can argue about more better stuff. Right?
yeah. Have you ever had a table that you've like painted a mural on?
Yep.
Is that a table that you'll use yourself or is that like a table for someone else?
Well, the first time I did that was my parents bought me a table from IKEA. They bought me an IKEA bed set when I was a little boy, and I'll always remember the smell of that brand new IKEA furniture. And so when I turned into a teenager and I wanted to be cool and didn't want to have this basic little IKEA setup, I spray painted the desk. And so I just did some designs on it, and then I used that table as my drawing table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and then I think someone else hired me to paint their table, and then clear coated it or something. Yeah,
Cool. Cool.
yeah.
Those are always cool to see when they clear code it and it really and it's there and it's gonna be there forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a cool thing. So Peter,
Mm-hmm.
let's keep talking about the kitchen table. So when you're at your kitchen table and you're cooking, what type of food do you like to eat? Or what type or
Well, I'm
what
glad you asked because I don't cook anything, young Jackson, until I have top quality olive oil. Right now, I'm not talking about this watered down shit that you get at the grocery store that's controlled by the olive oil mafia. They mix it with all kinds of stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that is supplied by. Well, we'll have to give them a little shout out here. Veronica Foods in Oakland, California. Now, if you go onto their website, you can open your own business, and
Hmm.
basically any town, any in Canada that's selling exclusive top quality olive oil, they're all getting it from this place. And so people are opening up little shops everywhere. And what it is a whole collection of big metal drums of olive oil straight from all these different countries, small growers. And you go in and you just fill up on tap whatever fancy olive oil you like. So that's my favorite, absolute favorite food. and favorite oil. And so everything I eat has that olive oil in it. Now, the other thing I like to make sure I do, young Jackson, is I like to keep it very sexy in the kitchen. Food is love. And often we don't know whether we're hungry or horny. Am I right? So make sure that you are horny for food. Now, is that backwards? Darn these mirror cameras. Okay, it says horny on it. Boy, that joke bombed. Thanks a lot, mirror camera.
You know
Now the
what
other,
though? It was straight for me.
oh,
It
it's just
worked.
backwards for me.
I guess so, yeah.
Oh, well, then it really bombed. Now, the third thing I like to do in the kitchen is cook foods that I have no idea what the hell are. What is this? Speaking of horny, wow, that's a little bit, yeah. So, you thought it was a pear and then it went all pear shaped on you. And it's a pear with a crotch. So, all jokes aside, when I'm in the kitchen, it's basically scazzone. Whatever is in the cupboards, whatever's in the fridge, whatever's in the garbage for that matter, doesn't matter. If, I'll make anything taste good. But if I go to the grocery store, I like to have, as clean of proteins as possible. You can pick up good stuff at, your local shop, or be smart and find a butcher shop. Or I love my juicy chicken thighs. Pardon me. Um, and I love my grass fed. And I'm not a tofu man, although I do like the taste. I just hate that, the soybean industry is so controlled by the evil big pesticide people like Monsanto, and the Roundup Ready crops and all that. And so vegetables, broccoli sprouts, because our, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, she's always talking about broccoli sprouts. I love those broccoli sprouts. And spinach, kale, chard, heavy leafy greens. I love me some bok choy. There's always miso soup in my fridge. And I'm a spaghetti man. I'm a pasta nut at heart. I love fresh pasta. And Japanese cuisine. I have the rice always on hand. I know our teacher always has his big brown bag of Lundberg or whatever it is he gets, and his Costco salmon. I love salmon, and but I do like my white sushi rice. And then lately, though, because I've been quite indulgent and I'm feeling the need to really pare down my expenses, lately I've gone to buy a massive big bag of black beans, turtle beans, and a big huge bag of sushi rice. And so for the last week straight, and you know, it's the gas has been okay, but yesterday was more gassy than the rest. It could have been something else though. It's just been black beans and rice and spinach for every day with tons of olive oil on it. So
Mm.
my diet never stays the same. And that's one of those things in life that I really believe in variety. I love always mixing up my diet. So that's enough about my intestines. How about you?
Yeah, well, cause quick question. When you when you will have your spinach or black beans in your rice, will you like stir fry it? Will you make like a black bean fried rice?
What I'll
Mm.
do is just yeah, I do that, but I also, like today, I just cooked up some rice fresh and hot and steamy, and then I opened my fridge, and what's in there? A bucket of black bean paste that I've just pulverized with the immersion blender. you know, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've got just the Mexican style refried bean, just never ending bucket in my. It looks disgusting. You open my fridge and there it is.
There's the bucket of black bean.
There's the bucket of black beans.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate hearing that. I appreciate hearing that. And I really agree with you that food should be a variety, and
Yeah.
that a variety is such a good, healthy thing. I
Yeah.
know in my life, like I've ate pretty clean for a long time, but this last summertime, this last August time, it was really put into my awareness of like of really like how health food can be. Like I did
Mm.
before last August, I didn't know anything about any seed oils, canola
Oh,
oil,
yeah. Mm.
and then I started to learn the ways, learn the way of the land,
Yeah.
and now I love just eating whole foods. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I still do indulge in sweets sometimes. If say we
Mm.
get a nice batch of cookies over, like that someone will make for us, well, sometimes
Mm.
I like to
Yeah.
indulge with that.
Yeah.
But I love favorite food. My favorite food is apples. I love apples. Every
Really?
morning I have whatever I have for breakfast, I always have an apple with it. And it's
Yeah.
and that's
Oh,
always
yeah.
a thing I do.
Yeah.
An apple a day, I guess it keeps the doctor away. But it
Yeah.
doesn't keep Dr. Scazzone away.
No, he's coming regardless. Yeah.
He's coming
Yeah.
regardless.
Oh, yeah.
So I love eating the whole foods. One of the dishes I love to make for myself is fried rice.
Mm.
Especially like it's just depending on like what you have, you can just make it into it. Cause for a while, what I would do is I would just make like my protein, my rice, my vegetable, and I'd eat each one individually. And then I was kind of eating the same thing over and over, and I was like, how do I make this a little more fun?
Mm.
And then I just put it and then I just put it all together in a pot. I put some sesame oil with it and a little bit of
Mm.
olive oil and
Yeah.
just mixed it up, and that was great. I don't add soy sauce to my fried rice though. That's not
Yeah.
something that I'm not a big fan of anymore, but
Mm.
some people do. But I
Yeah.
I love to do that. Get all like the chicken, the
Mm.
beef,
Mm-hmm.
cook it up nice. Sometimes like some nice hot sauce can be real nice on it, or like some nice hot spice
Mm-hmm.
is nice. But one thing I found is so many spices have seed oils in them or canola oils in them. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
one thing I found. Like my dad will come home with a new seasoning and it tastes good, but then I read the ingredients after and I'm like, oh. But
Mm.
you wonder how much of that do you think they put in? Like in a little bottle, do you think they put a lot of the seed oil in?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
usually it's usually sugar, seed oil, water, and then whatever you think you paid for. I find.
Yeah.
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 And these people drinking all this oat milk, it's all sunflower oil, mostly
Mm.
sunflower oil in there. And anyway,
What do you think is what about coconut milk?
well, coconut milk's awesome. I love drink
Yeah.
that by the can, just get a can opener and glug some coconut milk. You can drink a can of coconut milk cheaper than you can a can of coconut water. Isn't that
Wow.
fun? Isn't that funny?
It
A can of
is.
coconut like water at the store, in the fridge, at the corner store or the grocery store, $3 at least. Then you go to the grocery store, get a can of coconut milk, and it's $1 cheaper or 50 cents cheaper. And it's like, huh? I don't. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Okay.
try drinking coconut milk on a hot day. That's like that scene in Anchorman. You remember?
I haven't
Oh,
seen Anchorman,
yeah. Will
unfortunately.
Ferrell. Will Ferrell. He drinks a can. He's drinking milk, a carton of milk, on a hot summer day in San Francisco or San Jose. You stay classy, San Diego, San Diego. And he's drinking milk, and he says milk was a really bad idea. Anyway, yeah, you'll see
Yeah.
me in Kelowna this summer drinking frozen coconut water. Maybe. So here's what we'll do. We'll get cans of frozen. We'll get cans of coconut. We'll buy a flat of coconut milk, right? Costco size, um, and then we'll freeze it all. And then, no, hang on a minute. No, no, no. We'll pop the lids off, right? We'll take can opener the lids off. We'll put sticks in the middle, and then we'll put that in the freezer, and then we got some Cocoa Pops We
Ah.
can have those at the immersion.
Oh, that'd be a nice idea.
I
That
don't
would
know if
be.
we'll be able to get them out of the can though, like whether they'll stick to
Oh.
the can or not. Maybe if we tap on the can, probably.
Either that, or if we could get like one of like those trays,
Yeah.
like the popsicle trays. I don't know if I have one though.
Yeah. No, I'll just pour the coconut milk into ice cube trays and make coconut milk cubes. Then put those in your water bottle. Then you got frozen cold coconut water. You save a bundle. You get more oils in there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going
Yeah.
good.
Look what we just did.
We're innovating.
We
Yeah, you
just-
know what? I thought of another thing we could do, Peter. So if you come to Kelowna and you bring the whole Skuzzabot time machine, you can get it. You can set up the whole art. And I know
Yep.
a way that we can bring more people in too is we
Yeah.
could bring the BioShacks on us,
Oh shit.
and we could also bring the BioShack ice tubs, and we could do
Okay,
a cold.
because
We
it's
could
gonna
do a
be hot. It's gonna be already hot because I'm coming out there the end of April,
uh-huh.
and then it'll already be hot, right? So
Oh,
do
is
we
it?
do we need saunas out there and if it's hot?
Maybe just the ice baths.
Yeah,
Maybe we could get some ice baths and we could do like some ice baths and art.
that sounds great. Now how cold is the lake? Is that going to be? It's
Hmm.
much warmer than an ice bath, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Well,
so
like
yeah,
right now it's much warmer. I mean, sorry, right now the lake is it's probably around the same as an ice bath.
yeah. But end of April,
It'll warm up probably if like
yeah,
2, 3 degrees maybe.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's do it. I'll get my tent out and we'll do it April 20th maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That sounds
Cool.
fun.
All right.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome. So April 20th is when you're coming, but the immersion's in June.
It is. I'm going to be yo-yoing back and forth from the Okanagan to the coast. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I'm gonna write that down. April 20th.
Yeah.
April 20th. Awesome.
Down at home, folks. Where's the folks? Are the folks over there?
The folks.
Write that down, folks.
Write that
Kelowna.
down, folks.
Come on.
Save the
Yeah.
date, save the calendar. Let's get this and we go in from the hour. So Peter, with
We,
that as
we can
well.
do yeah, yeah.
Oh, go on.
No, we can do a live taping of the show.
Oh, we can set up some chairs. We can have a
Yeah.
live audience.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
be like, do you know what Kill Tony is?
Yeah.
It'll be like Peacock Pranayama Kill Tony.
Absolutely. But if we went on Kill Tony, Tony would have a field day with us, man.
Oh
Can you
yeah.
imagine? Oh my, hey, just take one look at us. I mean, I know me, like I'm terrified of that, but maybe someday I'd do it.
That'd be
If you want to go
crazy.
to if you want to go to Texas with me, sign up. I'll throw my name in the hat.
Would we go together or just individual?
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah, no,
together.
together. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
And then
man.
if one of us gets on, then we tell the story and then Tony will go, bring all right, come on, bring up your buddy.
Hmm.
Yeah. What would he say about Peacock, the name Peacock Pranayama? What would his one line ripping, roaring, burn, roast be on that name if you were the henchcliff, the henchman,
I
the
feel
meat?
like I feel like he'd have something to say about breath work.
Yeah,
I feel like he'd have some line about breath work.
he
Pra
would. He would.
I feel like he'd look at pranayama and be like, "Pranayama, we're in Texas. Speak English, buddy," or something like
Yeah.
that.
And also he'd do the peacock. He'd probably do some sort of a dick joke, like maybe uh, think we were lovers or something, or
Probably.
because he's most of his jokes go like that route of mean,
Yeah.
that form of mean. Like anyway,
Hmm. Yeah. The
we're,
good old
we're
the
yeah,
good old Kill Tony.
yeah, love that
Yeah.
show. Love it.
Have you heard about Heath Cordes?
No.
Okay. He's a recent guy that came up from it. He's a funny dude.
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
a funny dude.
Right. And of course, Jared Nathan. Or
I didn't watch during then.
okay. Right.
I'm more recent into it. Do you know Aaron Belial?
No.
Okay. That's all
Okay.
right.
Some catching up to do on Kill Tony.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
guess I'm from the new era, and you're from a little bit of like the early era. But it's a good
Well,
show.
yeah, about a year ago, I was listening pretty steady. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I
Okay.
found it made me too mean,
Mm.
with doing our breathwork course and our facilitating. Just that mean, sarcastic side of me does not need any encouragement.
Mm.
So I had to, adjust the media that I was consuming. So, yeah.
I understand.
Mhm.
The comedy route can be like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, we could do a live Peacock Pranayama.
Hmm.
That could be great.
Yeah. We'll
Oh,
do it.
we could start the episode in the ice baths.
Yeah. Well, we could see if we can do the whole episode in the ice baths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Folks, we
'Cause
don't recommend this at home.
no, well, it'll be warm outside,
It'll
so
be warm out. Yeah, we could.
the
That
ice will
could
just melt.
Yeah, it could be the
Yeah.
ice bath edition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of the ALS ice bucket challenge, we have the Peacock Pranayama ice interview.
Yeah.
Nice. So when we were talking about this too, and we're even talking about like some ideas. So Peter, what have there been any visions that you've gotten lately? I know actually something you might be interested in talking about is the Scuzza Scouts. I heard you talk about the Scuzza
Oh,
Scouts today.
yeah. You interested? You want to be a scout leader?
Well, would I be a scout leader in the Kelowna branch?
Yeah. Yeah.
The good old Scuzza Scouts. So talk to
Yeah.
people a little bit about the Scuzza Scouts.
Well, as I've explained to you before in Home Depot there, whatever I receive as garbage, SCUSA will tell me to make art with it. And it's my choice, my job to say yes or no. And like a weak peer in a peer pressure situation, SCUSA often forces me to, oh, come on, it's cool. You'll be cool if you do it. So rarely do I say no. And so I was helping a friend unload his father's apartment because he was, it was a little bit of a health hazard in there, boxes and boxes of books and all kinds of stuff. And he used to be a scout leader. And so as we were going to the dump, taking all his stuff, I see a box full of scout patches. You know how the scouts, they love their badges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, Skaza said, why don't you keep these and sew something awesome with them? There's a lot of them. We live in an era where we're giving the names of places back to the indigenous folks that were here before and respected the land much more than colonial people do. I'm not all about bashing white privilege and colonial, like everyone has conquered and taken over. It's just all the places in the world. But what matters to me is how you treat the earth. So all that being said, a lot of these patches are like, well, I don't want to sew a patch on that says all these colonial names and has like indigenous names where the white person's decided what picture would go with the name. Like I don't, that's going to look pretty weird. So I thought there's no way I can sew something with all these patches and still be well, it would be fun to get into arguments with people that would want to like attack my patches. But what would be more scuzza is to reappropriate the colonial appropriations and cut apart the badges, patches, and reassemble them into something completely bizarre that has no reference to scouting or colonial names or indigenous names, but it's just a whole bunch of weird heraldry and nature imagery and weird little people by campfires and sailboats and all these weird logos that they've put together. Wouldn't it be fun to make like a big, huge monster patch of a scuzza and sew that onto a cape or a blanket or something, tapestry? And then, so that was as far as I really got. Like, oh shit, I can't throw these away. I want to do something with them. Is it worth my time? Why am I doing this? Just get rid, like all this turmoil that I go through every time I find cool shit to make stuff with. And then I thought, well, we're in a leadership course, are we not? And we're working on building our character, um, improving uh, our outlook towards life, and working on shedding some of the things that don't serve us or our community, like all this stuff that Boy Scouts is claims to be, right? You learn leadership, survival, character building. And I thought, well, this is kind of ironic, right? Like we're kind of, the Lightforce is kind of like the Boys and Girls Scouts for um, breathwork, adult cold bathing, spiritual types, like awakening folks. And so then I thought maybe I should use whatever influence or connection I have with the youth in my area, to sort of informally create a Scuzza Scouts, which would be, we don't wear little sashes and khaki shirts and knee-high socks, and and sing songs, but we hang out every once in a while in the park, make art, and just talk. It's like, no, it's the informal version of Boy Scouts, and it's not just for boys,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah. So I just thought, wow, um, it's cringy for me. Some people can pull it off to go, oh, I'm going to be the leader and take a bunch of teenagers and young kids camping. Like, I can't do that. Maybe if I were a different, more professional person, like a teacher or a doctor or like a counselor, but so yeah, this is my idea for Scuzza Scouts.
Mm-hmm. Cool. It sounds like a nice way to like, I think you might have even talked about it in the video too, or even said it now. It's like taking kids away from their computers and raising them themselves, so that way the internet doesn't raise them, and so that way
Right.
you can have an influence on them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It could be like spend an hour off screen doing something creative and earn patches, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get a cut sleeve denim jacket that looks all badass. And yeah, it's like it's a gang for children. Street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The good old Skuzzabot. That's awesome. It's
yeah.
great that it's like it sounds like a really nice thing of just like taking kids away from the screens, as
Mm,
taking them back in nature and just getting them back and tap into their own creative force instead of
yeah.
looking elsewhere for entertainment. They can
Mm,
just go within.
hmm.
Like that's
Yep.
pretty awesome.
Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, with that as well, with the good old Scouts. Let's talk about something that I know you were interested in talking about, and something that's definitely came up for me is during breath work, one of the things that can happen is people want to feel different emotions. They want to feel a lot of times it can be mainly it can be sadness, it can be crying, it can be beauty, it can be crying, or it can even be laughing as well too. And like during ceremony, a lot of times, like I know with myself or others, there's some form of release that will happen, or there's some form of like thing that you just need to get out and you just need to release that can happen during a
Mm,
breath ceremony. And allowing yourself to go through with this and like know that it's okay to feel emotion. And so you want to talk about like allowing us to like even like laughing during breath work and like talking a little bit about from your experience, what's it's been to like allowing yourself to express and not holding yourself back, as well as like allowing yourself to laugh. Because I know with myself, it's interesting what can come up, but it's like you don't want to interrupt the ceremonial container. You don't want to like break it, but you want to like keep it a certain way, but you also want to feel. You also want to go and what's the word I'm looking for? You also want to express what's coming through. So what's been your experience? Because I know you talked about in the past about going to ceremony and like feeling like you weren't able to fully be there or you weren't able to fully let yourself in. What's that experience with you been? Like allowing yourself to like express more in ceremony.
Uh, I still don't express much. I stay pretty quiet. Yeah. At first, I really let the tears out, but I still feel too mindful of others' experience, and I still notice how much when someone is really yelling and screaming, or forced laughing, or what I think is forced laughing, it bothers me. So I go, oh, I don't want to do that. But I had the reason I mentioned laughter before the podcast was because recently when I've led friends on journeys, hour-long journeys, because they know me so well and are hearing me speak with a voice that is trying to be serious and spiritual, they start laughing. Like, it, you know, it's like, it's only a matter of time during I'll say something that's like, okay, now he's joking, and it just comes out whether or not I try or not. And then that deep spiritual experience is broken
Mm.
with laughter. But at first, I got like disappointed in myself and worried that I wouldn't be able to do this because of my desire to turn everything into a comedy routine, including my whole life, just make a joke out of it. But then I realized I found this way to use the laughter as I called it, just using the ripples of joy to shake out any tension. So I haven't been on the receiving end of the laughter in a journey. I'm speaking about the facilitating part of making people laugh and then trying to harness that laughter as a way for them to let go of more tension and use that power of the laugh to make joy in them. Yeah.
Hmm. Do you find that when does the laughter generally come up? Do you find it's like when you just are getting into it, or do you find like when it's like m mid into the experience or more towards the end? Like, what's
Yeah. Yeah. Good,
which?
good question. Yeah. Usually it was at the beginning.
Okay.
And a part of that was a little bit of embarrassment and nervousness on both the patient, the participant, and me. And then once the journey progressed and we get really into it, and then I get really into it, and I start narrating and creating this journey and this story of, okay, like the last night we did one on the spring, and green light bursting on a breath hold, inhaling that green light and bursting a sprout out of the ground, and feeling the spring light, and so I just kept going and going with this spring story. And then eventually I said something that I just couldn't help it. I forget what it was. But I thought, no, don't say it. And as soon as I said it, we all just cracked up. And it was like 40 minutes into the journey. And then I said, okay, now use that laughter as ripples of joy of spring to release any tension that's still in. And we
Hmm.
kept going. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, laughter, it can be a funny one how it comes up with that. And
Yeah.
and sometimes there's just that moment when you really just want to say something. You
Yeah.
really just want to let it go.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I hear you with that. I hear you with the laughter. I found I I haven't stepped. Well, I've led some breath sessions before. The laughter thing hasn't been something that came up recently. Once I was trying to introduce some breath work to some buddies, and we
Mhm.
were and we were just it was just very gentle breath work. I remember
Mhm.
trying to do some breath with them, and then sometimes people will fart. and then
Oh.
and it depends the container you're in. Like it was a very friendly container and a little bit just more casual one. So after that happened, everything just rippled, and that's all they could go in. But I feel like it's very much even with the container you set as well too, and like how you go about it. Because the thing is laughter. Like I love being able to use even like a little bit of laughter at the start to maybe just
Mhm.
like break that ice to get to drop people a little bit more in and just allow them to know that they're able to drop in. I
Mm.
found that something our teachers did even when like teaching like to us at retreats. Like there's generally some laughter like at the start, but it's not like too much to where like the container just becomes goofy.
Yeah.
And but like he keeps it serious, but there's some times where there's that laughter at like the right moments when it allows it to get a little bit more casual.
Yeah.
Because there's a time and place to really be listening to be intentful, but then there's a
Mhm.
time where you can bring humor into it. And it can be
Mhm.
fun, but that's the thing. Sometimes a little too much humor can kind of just start to like shatter, like it can add a little bit of a crack into the container.
Yeah, and that's the danger with me.
Hmm. But it's
Yeah.
not a bad, it's going about it and like making it work for you. Like I think that's a really nice thing that you talked about the ripples of joy
Mm.
and allowing like it's starting that emotion, allowing that to just keep coming, to just keep going out. I know with myself, it comes frequently that I start laughing in an ice bath or during a lake dip.
Oh yeah.
I remember the very first like ice bath I did with you, I like in Lightforce.
Mm.
I started after about 2 minutes into my ice bath. I stopped fighting and I started to soften.
Mm.
And that's when I looked at Jeff and I said, I softened. And then I just burst out laughing.
Mm.
And I just started laughing for quite a while.
Mm.
And I found in that container, it was nice to bring a little bit of laughter in to lighten the mood. Like during like a breath journey, like laughter can be like you talked about.
Mm.
But during an ice bath, I think laughter is kind of a nice thing
Mm.
because then it allows people to express themselves. Because what you want is when people are in the ice bath, you want them to be able to be in their experience, but
Mm.
also if they need some form of release, that it's okay as well too. So
Mm.
sometimes a little bit of a laugh is nice,
Mm.
or
Mm.
sometimes what I'll do is I'll head dunk, and then I'll look
Mm.
at people and smile and start laughing, and then they'll
Mm.
be like, "What?" I'll be like, "It's fun."
Mm.
And that way people are like, oh, like it's
Yeah,
safe to do so.
that's a great way to loosen people up and get them to soften is by laughing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Or
unless they
like
get pissed off and go, "What are you laughing at? Stop laughing at me!"
and that's when I'll just look at them and I'll just smile and I'll just be like,
Oh,
it is
they'll hate
fun.
you. Yeah.
Some people it might be like, "Ugh," but then other people it's like, oh, okay. So it's been interesting with the laughing. I really like to add it in like different ways a little bit, especially it can be a great thing at the start, like just a little giggle to help break that ice a little bit. Like sometimes it's
Just
nice
a
to
little giggle to help break that ice.
ba-dum dum ba-da-ba-dum bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a nice thing.
Mm.
And it was interesting. You talked about even about like being quiet
Mm.
during like ceremony or during breath. I've had some very interesting experiences with like fully expressing, but then also like being quiet as well. Like I am mindful of the fact like and sometimes even when I do express, I try to be a little bit more quieter. Like
Mhm.
and it can depend on the type of container or like do I know the people I'm with or do I not?
Mm.
Like I find when I'm in a space where I don't know any of the people there, I'm a little bit more likely to allow the full release. Because
Mhm.
that way I don't know anyone, no one knows me. We all go at the end of the night and it's okay.
Mm.
But I think it's a more internal thing. At the start it was a lot
Mm.
of like shaking, moving,
Yeah.
crying, like it can be screaming or shouting.
Mm.
But and sometimes when I'm by myself, I will get to that or like if I'm being one-on-one facilitated, it
Yeah.
can be at that point.
Mhm.
But but in the group settings, unless I'm like going through a really big thing then,
Mm,
then it's maybe not. Oh, but
mm,
uh, but one of the thing, it depends the type of container as well too. Because if it's a more casual container with people like say like not breath work, but like say like a different modality, I still like to entertain. I
mm,
really like to entertain, but I understand like if it's a breath one where like everyone's having their own individual journey, I understand and realize the importance of like everyone having their own journey and
mm,
everyone being there for themselves and allowing people to go on their own journey and not disrupt them too much.
mhm,
But I still if I there's a part of me that like if it's a more casual container or people are just hanging out and talking or even just like not breath work but like say just like a conscious conversation connection, I really like to lead. I really like to just uh, um I really like to bring that like laughter in and just entertain people. That's something that I find I like to do.
mhm,
But I feel like it's even coming like through this course, I even noticed that was something that our teacher has highlighted. And like notice like does it come from like an ego sense and learning
mm,
to be able to take that step back too. And
mm,
I've learned like because at first I thought like especially like we use the cold dips for instance. With the cold dips, I used to always think I had to lead. I had to be this guy who was there for everyone. I had to be there. I had to show them and I had to really like and even perform almost a little bit. But now I don't know. There's a lady who opens the circle. There's the facilitator. And when I facilitate, I do my own thing. But just allowing people to have their own experience too. And like even like be able to take that step back. Because sometimes other people, they might, especially if it's they're just getting used to that, they might want to, them talking might be very important to really get whatever their thoughts are through. And to
mm.
maybe even express that excitement. So that way they can feel it more deeper.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know that I love having the talking stick and I love entertaining and making people laugh, but I also know that I don't need to. And I know that, especially in the circles that I've been part of, there are some people in there, pardon me if I've misjudged this, but they really need to talk and they really need to, you, they need you to hear them go, oh! Like, I'm here so because there's a captive audience to hear me moan and groan. Like, I need you to listen to this. Like, I don't. I'm good. So like, and I don't. When the teacher says, "Does anyone have anything to share?" and everyone's really talking. Like, of course, I have so many things I want to say, but I don't feel the need to. And so I
Mm,
think my silence is because I satisfy my urge to get attention and speak and be bold and in everyday life so much that when I'm in those containers, I'm happy to just be the quiet guy. Yeah,
mm,
yeah,
yeah. And honestly, it's nice to be able to have that balance and blend too, where you don't feel the need. Because sometimes if everyone wants to share, like it can, sharing is great.
yeah,
Emotion is great, but there's a time and place to when you can just keep it to yourself and like journal it on your own time, or maybe have a conversation with a friend about it.
yeah, yeah.
And I do think like there's even a thing where some like it depends the container in. Like if sometimes after a journey, everyone is quiet. It's like, does anyone
Mm,
want to express something? Everyone kind of looks around, and then it's nice to say something to maybe start it or like
yeah,
help contribute it. But then
yeah,
sometimes everyone's just going. You're like, okay,
mhm,
I can just sit back for now.
yeah,
And it's learning to find that for you.
mhm,
But I notice that sometimes there is people they really need to get that thought out. They
yeah,
really just need to say that.
yeah,
And I think that's great self-awareness too. And it could also get into seeking discomfort, which learning to like go through in the uncomfortable things where even though you might want to say something or you might want to do something and it might be
mm,
a little bit uncomfortable for you not to.
Mm.
but allowing yourself to sit with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and allowing what you know, like, oh, I know the answer. Allowing someone else to say what you really wanted to say. Because quite often that happens is I'll bite my tongue, I'll stay silent, and then someone will say the thing I wanted to say, and everyone will go, "Oh yeah, yeah," and I'll go, "I was gonna fucking say that." So that's a good exercise for me. Is when I think I'm so damn clever, right? To just see if someone else says what I'm thinking. And it's cool to see that, to see someone else having that same thought.
It's
Yeah.
all it's like what even with Rick Rubin talked about in the creative act is
Mhm.
sometimes that idea was just it was just planted in people and
Yeah.
it was time for that idea
Waiting.
to go
Yeah.
out. And
Wait, yeah.
it might not be you who does it, but it was just that time for that idea to get put through.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't own that idea, Pete. Sorry. It's in the room. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. What if for you, for instance, I could start talking about this if you like, but what have been some, say, some practices in your life where you've seek discomfort in your life and that has been like a way that you've been grateful for it, or like a way that you've actively seeked a discomfort in some way that you're grateful for and it's and that has helped you on your path. Do you want I could start if you'd like.
Okay.
So some of the ways that I think about seeking discomfort, well, at the start, I think cold plunging for all of us was a way of seeking discomfort,
Of course.
and that was a big one. For me, a big time where I really decided to seek discomfort in my life was when I was in grade 11. I used
Mm.
to shout it if people know about this, but I used to sell ponchos. I used to sell Mexican
Yeah.
ponchos.
Yeah.
And that was super uncomfortable at first.
Very uncomfortable.
Going up to people like, "You want to buy a poncho?" Or like
Mm.
going on the Instagram and making an account for all the ponchos and talk
Wow.
and learning to talk to and it was a big thing for me at first. This is probably not it's a little hard to share, but trying to make a balance of friendships versus just talking to people because I want them to buy a poncho. And
Mm.
and I didn't want to come across as like that salesman dick who only wants your money, but also
Mm.
wants to have a conversation with you, you know?
Mm.
And it's learning to talk to people who you might not ordinarily talk to.
Mm.
And like and or even like especially growing up in a small community, people seeing that different side of you that they've never seen before and them being just uncomfortable with it and then you being like a little bit uncomfortable owning it. And
Mm.
people will catch on and people will accept you for that, but it was just really weird at first. Like I remember I started dressing a little different. I started acting a little bit different. I remember my buddy who I was sharing lockers, he's like, "Why are you changing, man?" Like he's like, "Stop changing." And I was like, "Damn." So that was a big seeking discomfort practice. And then another one that is something that has actually been really alive for me is since the weather has been getting much nicer, and so since the weather's been getting much nicer, this has come to me a practice that I like to do is I like to approach strangers in public in the summertime.
Mm.
Like I just will go and walk along the beach and talk with people.
Mm.
And that has been a practice of seeking discomfort, is just having those conversations with strangers in.
Mm.
Especially this is I'm doing this from a heart-centered place and I'm trying to do this in like the best light possible, but especially like going up and talking to pretty women or pretty girls.
Mm.
That has been something that I've tried doing like from my teenage years to now.
Mm.
That's something like in the summertime because I really don't want to go on the dating apps if I don't have to. I would much
Mm.
rather meet someone in person and go on like a date, have a nice conversation with them, and then just see where it leads from there and see if we
Mm.
are compatible and connect. But the thing is it all starts with a conversation. And the dating apps can filter out like the people that you want to talk to and you don't want to talk to, rather than just walking along the beach and seeing who you see that day. But it's been like for instance, I was walking around on the beach the other day and I was like, well, it's starting to become that time again. And for me,
Mm.
it almost feels like I have a pressure inside myself to do it. Because it's like I want to meet someone, I want a partner, and I want to be able to date someone and just grow with them. and love them and just communicate and just cultivate a beautiful relationship. But you have to start it by meeting people.
Mm.
You can't just get to that point instantly. You have to start with that first time you see them, or maybe you saw them and reconnecting with them, being like, hey, like, how's your day going? Or just starting with a random question, being like, hey, hey, like a thing that I did last summer was I said, "Hey, I have a goal to myself where I want to speak to a bunch of different strangers this summer. Or I was wondering if I'd be able to talk to you." Or another thing is I used to do question of the day at the workplace I worked at. I was like, "I do a question of the day thing. I was wondering if you'd be interested in hearing."
Mm.
And that
Mhm.
way it's a very thing, like if they don't want to hear, I will leave if someone does not want to listen to me, I will leave them alone and I will say, "Have a great day." Like
Mhm.
and just walk along. But if you'd like to listen to me,
Mm.
that's been an interesting thing coming across in the way of heart-centered, but also bringing that like I'm interested in you vibe. But like not the fuckboy vibe, not the friend vibe,
Mhm.
but like coming from a heart-centered place but also showing you're interested, and that's been something that's been really present for me,
Mm.
and figuring out like how can I come across that way, because for me it's easy to come across in like a heart-centered way if I prepare myself for that, but to also come across as that I'm interested in you as well, but coming across it in like a positive, in like a wholesome way, but I
Mhm.
also want to show them that I'm interested, has been a difficult balancing act for me.
Mm.
So that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I like the line, I'm doing a practice, or I've already ruined it. Hey, I'm trying to speak to this many new people, or yeah, whatever you said. Hey, I'm trying
Mm.
to speak to the 10 strangers every day, to help me meet people offline, or I'm trying to hey, do you want to help me practice um, learning how to uh, meet people not online? Or however you said it, I liked, like, because if
Mhm.
you said that to me, like, why does this guy want to talk to me? Well, he's just trying to actually restart the old way of people. And I think everyone would agree that we have a problem of not being able to interact as well naturally. So
Mm.
if you sold it to me like that, you want to talk to me just to talk to a stranger that's not online, just to keep that skill alive. I'm just trying to keep the skill alive of learning to talk to strangers. Will you volunteer? I'm sold. Yeah. And I think
Yeah.
a girl, the kind of girl that I'd want to talk to, that would have enough of a, you know, this sounds bad, but enough of an intellect, or a curious brain, would go, yeah, that's a good point. All right, sell me that poncho or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. And it's funny, you tell people that, and some people are like, like, okay, sure. Or
Yeah.
some people are like, no, thank you. Like some people, they're obviously just not interested. They're like, no, thank you. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
have a nice day.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you just get that, like you can read energy. You can, and one of the things that practice teaches you is to read people's engagement level. Like some people you talk to, they're very obviously not interested. They're very
Mhm.
obviously just want to be left to themselves. There's some
Mhm.
people who are like, oh, actually, sure. Like
Mhm.
I would like to talk to you,
Mhm.
or I would like to have a conversation like this, and just seeing where it ends up, and seeing how the conversation ends up. But for me, a thing that I guess it's switched throughout the year is like how do I show, especially like if I'm going with the intention that say I want to talk to beautiful women and I want to come across in a heart-centered way that I'm also interested in them. How do I
Mhm.
do that without seeming like a fuckboy? And it's like how do I come across in a way of where I'm not just being a friend. I'm not just being like I want to be known as this is like I want to become across in a way of it's very easy to talk to. I'll leave at any point, but I also would like to say I think you're beautiful. like something like this, like, and that's where the active, like, how do I go about this is really like sitting with me,
Okay.
and it's like feeling out how should I go about this.
Yeah. Well, here's how I think you should do that is you dive in and you wait for that moment where you get a setup. She says something or does something that gives you an idea, and you don't know it until it happens. But you just
Mm.
stay open for that moment to come when there's a perfect setup for you to throw in a nice little witty thing to let them know. Like, for instance, I shouldn't say this on here, but I was trying to sell a painting to this gorgeous French woman at a hotel downtown near the Empress. For some reason, I did a painting of the Parliament buildings, but like when I sold my mom's condo, the staging company said, okay, you can either rent a bunch of artwork for the walls or you can provide the artwork. We need a painting this big. And she lived in James Bay near the Parliament building. So I did a big modern abstract painting of the Parliament buildings. Do you think anyone wants to buy the damn thing? Like, I've had this huge paint sitting right over there. I'm talking to you about you. Massive 6 foot by 3 foot painting of the Parliament buildings. Talk about colonial shit. Like, that's the last thing anyone wants on their wall. Except, I thought, young Jackson, maybe one of the fancy hotels downtown by the Empress or whatever would. So I went in, I go up to the desk, gorgeous French girl in a nice little business suit. Oh, how can I help you? And so we talk. I wrote a note for the manager, and then she gives me the business card, and I put the business card down on the desk, right? And she says, "Okay, bye bye," and I'm just like grinning stupidly at her, right? As I say bye, and she goes, "Oh, you forgot the business card," and that was my opportunity. I felt that little setup, and I said, I'm sorry, that smile of yours distracted me.
Ah. Ah, Skuzzabot.
And she kind of looked at me like, yeah, bye. Yeah.
Oh.
But just wait for that. And that moment may come, it may not. But I think if you go in with a plan, it's going to come across phony. But if she throws you something and you're in a place where you get it, you see the moment come. Yeah.
Mm. You go in with the masculine plan of wanting to meet people, and when you're then there, you allow the feminine to shine through to find your moment.
Yeah, yeah. And don't put that pressure on them of like,
Yes.
you know, you know, wanting
Mm.
something from them.
Yes. Yes. I appreciate that, Peter. I
Hey, you're taking
appreciate that.
advice from a guy that has no luck with yeah, so
What has been some practices in your life where you've seek discomfort?
well, the one that's speaking to me right now, and part of the reason why I was so interested in doing this podcast, is because I'm desperately looking for excuses to not get on stage and do stand up open mics.
Mm.
So for years, I've got on stage, 1 year here, the 1 year there. Then I say to my friends, okay, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it now. And I'm still so terrified of committing to going regularly to open mics and doing stand up, you know? So that
Mm.
that is the number one thing that I am seeking, that is the most discomforting thing I can ever imagine. Getting up there and thinking I'm funny. Like, hi everyone. I think I'm funny. Ugh. You know? It so feels so icky. And I know that in everyday life, I do think I'm funny. I love making my friends laugh. But as soon as I get on that stage and it's an attempt to be funny, like it's the pretense is there, then all of a sudden all the funny's just gone.
Mm.
Until I can learn to become natural at that. But for some reason, I don't know why. Maybe it's all the podcasts like Kill Friggin' Tony. Most of the podcast world is driven by comedians, right? I think. So maybe they've just fooled me into thinking, I fooled myself into thinking that that's something I should do. But I'm still haven't let myself off the hook. I still have to do that. Other than that, what do I do? I deliberately go out with little clothing on, so the ice baths are easy, I find. But going through the day like Hawksman does, Hawksley Workman, going to work with a shirt on and doing construction all day, that to me seems really discomfort. But that's physical discomfort, right? I think what is more uncomfortable is that mental and emotional discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing my taxes.
Nice.
Right before I talk to you, I've got this bin. This phone is sitting on a Rubbermaid bin, and it's a bin of shit. And going through junk drawers and piles of receipts and things like bags of cords that I have no idea what are for, but I keep hauling around these bins of things that I don't know what are. I avoid doing that, looking at them.
Mm.
I'd rather carry them to Kelowna and back, Montreal and back, Toronto and back. This bin full of shit's been all over Canada, like for the last 5 years. And I'm avoiding going through it and organizing it because it's like, I don't know where to put this. I don't know if I need it. I'll just carry it. So that's uncomfortable as hell. And I'm doing that today. That's why I got my leather gloves on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got my flipping what's his name? Comedian, wears the leathers all the time. Uh Come on. The dirty comedian with the attitude. Old school guy.
Oh. Is he on Kill
Ah,
Tony?
he's probably has been.
Red Band?
No, no, no. The guy that did the nursery rhymes.
William
Oh,
Osman? Or
no,
Osler?
no. Okay, it's gonna come back to me. That was uncomfortable. So I sought that discomfort by deliberately making myself try and think of a name while live on a national podcast. Are we international yet? No, just national. National.
Probably
Canadian.
just national.
Yeah,
Do
just
we have any?
Canadian.
I don't know if we have any American viewers.
Yeah, no, no,
I
no,
mean,
no.
I have a buddy who, no, I don't know. I don't think it's international. Not yet. It will
No,
be
no.
though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All we got to do is be consistent. Someone told me a really good 3 C's is consistency, um, and I forget the other two.
Was it communication and conciseness?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
Communication was one. Consistency. Whatever. That's uncomfortable too. What I just
Hmm.
said. Boy, I'm seeking a lot of discomfort right now.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Um, leaving embarrassing shit online instead of deleting it and cleaning my social, the feed, going through and picking and choosing and
Hmm.
curating my feed. I will deliberately leave on uncomfortable stuff, um, just because it's uncomfortable. And I think there's a sick part of me that takes pleasure in that. But what else do I seek that's uncomfortable? Psychedelics.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mushrooms for me more often than not are not fun.
Mm.
Yesterday was extremely awkward. I had my I ate too much. I had a microdose, and then I had one more microdose, and then everything got really weird. Yeah. Uh, going to my dad's for dinner. There you go.
Mm.
That is seeking discomfort for sure. Yeah. And I guess Christmas for a lot of people is actively seeking discomfort. Spending time with family
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh, could I ask you about an experience you talked about on the podcast, which is seeking discomfort?
mm.
When you took your dad's wife on the cold dip.
Oh, she canceled. I
Oh,
know, I know.
because I remember you were
Mm,
thinking hard about
I
that.
was I was scared. Yeah, that was gonna be really awkward. But yeah, she canceled. So
Okay.
and in that case, that's a good question is what do I do there? Do I try and follow up and gently nudge them to do it? Or do I just back right off and say, it's up to you, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting. There's different schools of thought. It's like leading by, like, because we talked about this in our course too, even. It's like leading by example is doing the thing. And if they want to do it, they will. And I
Yeah.
think, but I
Yeah.
think it's like a gentle one could be like, hey, just wondering if you're ever interested again. Like
Yeah.
it's interesting because like that's even like a business thing. Like, for instance, like it's
Yeah. But
you
yeah.
want to go and
Yeah.
you want to let people know that it would be great for them to do it, but you also don't want to force it on them.
No, but if it were business and yeah, I would say, hey, still got a sale on those cold dips. Come on, we got one more spot. Let's get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it were business, I would follow up, but because it's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
I did think of one more topic that blends in with the seeking discomfort that I wanted to talk about as well is the suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And we just did that. Jeff did that little master class where we did a journey based on letting go of suffering and freeing ourselves from that willful torture. And he used the example of someone carrying a knife through their entire life, cutting themselves constantly with it, and someone coming along going, well, why don't you drop the knife? Well, I can't drop it. I've had it forever. I don't know how to let go of this thing that's cutting. I'm cutting. So I'm going through a process right now where I'm trying to stop punishing myself for my mistakes and move on. But I can't seem to figure that part out, the mechanics of that. So the kinesiology guy that I see told me to go in to my body and find and feel where the part of me is that's angry at myself and to go, hey, why are you angry? And so this process for me is very uncomfortable. And I'm really, really seeking to do this because I'm so sick and tired of holding myself back when I know better. I know my mistakes came from a good place. I know I'm learning slowly, but yet every morning when I wake up, I'll replay the same damn mistake and feel the same shitty feelings until I do my breath, I do my cold, I do my process. But it's over and over. I'll keep fucking stabbing myself with it. So he says, go in, find that part of you that's mad at you and say, hey, I hear you're mad at me. Why are you mad at me? What are you trying to tell me? Oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I understand that. And I thank you for trying to protect me by making me relive this lesson. And I've learned the lesson. So would it be okay if you stop punishing me and allow me to be the leader and allow me to be the ruler in this little ecosystem, this kingdom of me? can you stop sabotaging my ability to rule myself? Because that's what it is. I feel like we're talking about the ruler archetype in our course. And if there's shit going down in the kingdom, the ruler, it's his job to attend to that. And so I've got this saboteur in my kingdom that won't let me accept my mistakes. It keeps punishing me. And so my therapy guy, my coach, my kinesiology homie, he's going, all right, okay, stop getting mad. Because as soon as I see that part of me, I start going, why the fuck are you so mad at me? I've got to. So the most uncomfortable part about this whole thing is, and I'll end with this, is that I have to find compassion and love for this little bug inside me that's been ruining things and preventing me from moving on and being a successful adult my whole life, ever since childhood. Something good happens. Oh, I can't. No, I can't receive it because I don't deserve it. I'm a fuck. That's uncomfortable. Enough.
I hear
Yeah.
you with that, Peter. I
Yeah.
hear you. Have you, a question, have you ever heard of internal family systems?
Yes. Yes.
Because
That's
that's,
right. On
because that
Aubrey Marcus
sounds like that.
podcast. Yeah. I heard the guy who does that on, I think he's a Kiwi, that guy that does the internal family systems coaching that kind of came up with that whole program.
Okay. I
Yeah.
don't know the original guy who did it. That guy, oh, you know him. Brett Bailey, the guy that we looked at on
Oh
Instagram.
yeah.
He does
Yeah.
internal family systems. So I've done
Right.
some internal
So
family
you're
systems.
talking to your internal family, like the guy I
Yeah.
was talking to. So who's that little shit that keeps fucking up my life? What part of the family is he?
You have to find that, you have to find where he's located in your body.
Yeah.
At least for me, like when I did it, it's like you're going in your body and it's like it's like coming to, like for me, it was a lot of stuff was in my heart space, and it's like
Mm.
going in and looking at that.
Yeah.
Like
It feels like it's, yeah.
the first time I looked at it, there was like a black spot on my heart,
Ooh.
and I had to learn to like love it and forgive it, and give it that love and compassion and thank it, and
Yeah.
allow it to slowly heal from black to red again.
Yeah.
And it can be damn uncomfortable to do that. It's like why should I give you love, but love is the answer.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm with you there, but I want to know why it's there in the first place.
Is it there from a lack of love?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Because
Maybe.
I
Wow. Holy shit. Wow. I think that's the answer. Wow.
hmm like it's so interesting, like just even going in, like if you ask yourself, it will come. If you
Mm.
ask yourself and you go into it, like the things will come out, and like and the things, and it's like all you got to do is really sit with yourself and
Yeah.
ask that angry part of yourself, like what does it need to feel love? How,
Yeah.
like what are the words? How should you express it?
Yeah.
How can you go about it?
Yeah.
How, like, where did it come from? Ooh, where did it come from? That was a really big thing that happened in internal family systems for me.
Yeah.
Was really just asking where did you start? Where did you come from?
Hmm.
And just really diving in.
Hmm. Yeah.
That was a really big thing for me.
Fuck, I got a lot of work to do. But as our friend Eugene says, it's not work, it's fun. Yeah.
Good on you, Eugene.
Yeah.
Good on you, Eugene.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Eugene. Oh, no, it was not Eugene, but shout out Eugene. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but everyone's got their own things, but it's fun.
Mm.
It's a pleasure to do that. Now that you
Yeah.
have the aware, you didn't even know this was possible until you went within
Hmm.
and knew that this was, well, for one, identifying that it's there, knowing
Mm.
that it's there, and being able to like start to slowly unravel it, or start to
Hmm.
slowly, like, say there is a giant knot that was there. how can you unravel it with love? Or how can you unravel it with whatever it needs to be able to make the ropes, to be able to make the rope flow again without the knot in it?
Mm. Well, the image that comes to mind is soap.
Okay.
Soap up that knot and get it all lathery, and then you might loosen it. And obviously, oh, ha, 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 yeah, be funny. But what I'm going at is cleaning. So in that process of cleaning, the soap idea, applying that cleaning to that container that has the knot, that is the knot, maybe that will, it's like this friggin' bin full of shit. It's driving me mental. But if I clean it, that will untangle that knot. So I guess if I just really clean all the shit out of my psyche and extra distractions in my life, I'll be able to sit with this black spot on my heart that does not want to let me succeed because it thinks it's protecting me by keeping me a fucking man child. God, there's a lot of swears in this episode. We'll have to put a warning. Anyway, that's enough of that. Yeah. What else are we talking about? Get away from the subject, aren't you?
With suffering. Yeah, it's I remember, I don't know, it was recently introduced with to me with even the thought of like the you don't have to allow yourself to suffer. But a lot of times so many of us, it just because it's familiar, that's what we go back to. That's what we go back to. Remember the first time I heard that, or even just now thinking about it. There is a lot of stuff that a lot of us do just out of habit rather than actually like it needing to be there. Like I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of things. Like for me, food, like when we talked a little bit about food earlier in the episode, when I started my diet in August, like both going to Peru,
Mm,
like there was a lot of just like boxed and processed foods that I just ate because like it's just what I always did. Like
mm,
I ate Vector cereal almost every day. And
mm-hmm,
then when I had to stop eating it, it was like, whoa, it's like, why was I doing that? It's just because what I always did.
mm-hmm.
It's just because what I always did. And even like a lot of addictions are based around that, or even just like habits. And that's been an interesting thing to just see like what is those things that I've just always been doing and that I don't have to do. Like something that came up for me recently is there's an acne skin cream that I've been using for like the last few years, and I just use it because it's worked and it's been good. But my sister's like, yeah, the main product was now scientifically proven to be a carcinogen. And I was like, oh. And, and now it's like, okay, what else can I do? Like what else can I like how can I switch it? And I know that's a very minuscule example, but even like within it's like sometimes there's those things that like you feel like you have to do like before like some things you have to do before bed in order to fall asleep, even though
Mm-hmm.
they might not be good for you, but you've just always done them and that you think you always have to do them. Or it's even like, hmm, like I don't want to make like this is not at all making like a mockery or anything of this, but a lot of times like people with OCD,
Mm-hmm.
like obsessive compulsive disorder, they just have to do stuff a certain way because either superstitions or they just
Mm-hmm.
feel like that they've always done it that way. It has to be that done that way, or else, and if they don't do it that way, something bad will happen to them. And it's like removing that like something bad will happen to them, and it's just you're like, and even it's like what our teacher likes to say, taking accountability of everything in your life and taking accountability for your suffering too. You don't have to suffer if you don't want, like you're choosing to suffer. You're choosing to make the actions that cause you to suffer. You're choosing to put yourself in those situations. You're choosing to put yourself through those different things. And I see, man, in different workplaces I've worked in, I see so many people doing that. They excuse my language. Well, this is a swearing episode. They fucking hate the job that they're at. They're miserable. Every minute there, they're just complaining the entire time. But you know what? You talk to them, you don't seem like you're very happy here. Have you ever like Like, is there something going on? It's like, I just really don't like being here. I don't like this place. Have you ever thought of trying something else, even if it's not immediately? Well, no, 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 no. This is what I know. This is what I'm good at. And it's or even this is what I'm good at can keep people like they think I'm good at it. Like I'm good at doing this, which keeps me into like the suffering loop. It's like, what if you tried something else? I'm not saying you have to, but there's like, especially in like a workplace environment, people are like, I've done this job the last so many years, and this is what I'm good at. This is what I know. So this is what I'm going to stay in. Meanwhile, if they tried something else and they know that they could be amazing at it, but if they never tried that out, like what would they would never know. Like for
Mm,
me, I didn't even know breathwork existed till I went through a free class off of Facebook Marketplace or
mm,
off of Facebook. And now
mhm.
look where I am. I'm talking to you on a podcast called Peacock Pranayama. And we're in our facilitator training course.
Yeah.
And it's just allowing yourself to try that new thing or allowing yourself to break the cycle. Allowing or like giving yourself permission to break the cycle that you're in. Try something new. I remember we did that holotrophic breath exercise and drink cacao at our first Lightforce retreats, where we did that breath pattern where the goal was to make it as least rhythmic as possible, to make it the
Hmm.
most deranged, unrhythmic breath you possibly could.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, what if you tried it? You don't have to completely shatter your routine, but what if you took something out? How would you feel?
Mm,
What if you changed something? How would you feel? What if you that negative thought cycle and you replaced it with something else? How did you feel? Because sometimes people are just not good with a gap or a lull. But what happens if you take that and you switch it to something else?
mm,
That's been like that's been present with for me, especially with suffering. I mean, I'm not 100% like a saint with all of this. I still have my shit that bogs me down, that keeps me stuck, that keeps me in negative patterns. But it's well, how can I change them? And if I can't do a big change, what's a little change I can do? Maybe I change it from this to this, from this to this, or and just slightly changing it a little bit. And then maybe that's where you can do changes over time.
mm, mhm,
So, and I don't have to if I don't want to suffer, I can choose to not do it. And I have free will. But it's allowing myself to remember that. I don't have to do the thing that causes me pain. I might do it 9 out of 10 times because it's something I've always done or something I'm comfortable with, but I don't have to choose it.
mhm.
So, yeah. Hmm.
I'm choosing uncomfortable right now.
This is nice. Choosing the nice quiet space.
Yeah, yeah. That's consciously choosing uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it should be a nice time to start to wrap up the podcast. Is there any last words or last thoughts or last things that you want to say, Peter?
Mm, no, no, I think we're good. How long we gone for?
Almost an hour and a half.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All righty.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Sweet. Yeah.
Sweet. One last
Mhm.
thing I'll say is to the listeners watching. What is something that is causing you suffering that you could slowly deviate a little bit? Or how could you give a little bit more love to
Yeah, maybe watching this podcast.
that? Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Yes. Okay.
Mm.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
and don't
Peter.
forget to eat your vector cereal. Yeah,
Good old Vector.
yeah. 2 scoops of suffering in every bowl. Yeah,
And have a good old bag of potato chips with all the sunflower oil, the canola oil.
that's right. Hmm.
While you're at it, I don't know. Have a nice. Oh man, I took muffins out of my diet, like chocolate chip muffins that I loved, and they were so
Oh,
dear to me, so
oh.
dear to me. But I took them out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway, thank you, Peter. Thank you
Thank you,
so
Jackson.
much. Okay, let me get my peacock feather again.
Yeah, that's mine.
Okay, this is Peacock Pranayama. This is episode number 9. I put number 7 on the last one, but we have 2 episode number 7s now. So now this is number 9.
Yeah, 2 sevens clash.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, have a good one, Peter. Thank you.
You too. All right.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.